All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are breaking down David Goggins' incredible book, Can't Hurt Me. And let me tell you, this is so much more than just a memoir. It's really a raw, unfiltered blueprint for building insane mental toughness, a toughness that was forged in a life of honestly unimaginable hardship and pain. You've probably heard this quote before. It's the absolute core of the whole David Goggins phenomenon. It's called the 40% rule. And the idea is pretty simple but profound. That exact moment your mind is screaming at you to quit, you've barely even scratched the surface of what you're capable of. So it makes you wonder, right? If we're all stopping at just 40%, what are we leaving on the table? I mean, where is that other 60%? So to really get a grip on Goggins' methods, you absolutely have to understand where he came from. His whole philosophy, it wasn't dreamed up in some gym or on a battlefield, no. It was forged in this crucible of childhood trauma that he calls his bad hand. I mean, Goggins' early life was just one relentless blow after another. It's actually hard to even comprehend. We're talking about brutal physical abuse from his own father, the constant humiliation of poverty and racism, and on top of all that, he developed severe learning disabilities because of the trauma. So by the time he hit his early 20s, he was almost 300 pounds, stuck in a dead-end job as an exterminator, and just completely haunted by the shame of quitting things. This wasn't just some low point, you know? This was absolute rock bottom. So, what do you do when you hit rock bottom? Well, from that exact place, Goggins created his very first tool for change. It's a method for facing reality head on with absolutely zero excuses and zero sugarcoating, and he calls it the accountability mirror. So, here's how it works, and it's brutally simple. First, you confront your reality. You take post-it notes and you write down all your insecurities, the raw, ugly, unfiltered truth. Stuff like, I'm overweight, or I'm lazy, or I'm procrastinating. Then, for each one of those problems, you write a specific, actionable micro goal on a new note. And you stick all of these notes on your mirror so you're forced to look at them every single day. And here's the kicker. A note doesn't come down until that goal is done. It's a way to make your problems and your progress totally impossible to ignore. But, confronting reality is just the first step. Goggins didn't stop there. Not even close. He then started to build these mental frameworks that would pretty much become his armor against any kind of pain or weakness. And the first big principle is something he calls the calloused mind. Think about it like this. When you lift weights, you get calluses on your hands, right? That's your skin getting tougher from friction. Goggins says you can do the exact same thing to your mind by deliberately seeking out discomfort. This means doing things you hate to do every single day, waking up crazy early, going for a run when it's pouring rain, tackling that one task you dread the most. For him, the goal is to make discomfort normal, because he's convinced that comfort is the absolute enemy of growth. Okay, so this leads us right back to his most famous idea. Goggins has this theory that our brains have a built-in protective mechanism he calls the governor. Its whole job is to keep us safe. How? By making us feel exhausted and wanting to quit way before we actually reach our physical limits. And what's wild is that this lines up with a real scientific theory called the central governor model, which basically says that feeling tired is more of a psychological signal from your brain than a purely physical reality. So here's the crucial point, the part that changes everything. When your mind is screaming, "Stop, I'm done," that's just the governor kicking in at that 40% mark, which means a massive 60% of your potential is still sitting there, locked away. And it's only accessible if you can learn to push past that first, totally deceptive signal to quit. Okay, so how do you actually push through that mental wall? Well, Goggins has a tool for that too. He calls it the cookie jar. Imagine a mental list of every single victory you've ever had, every obstacle you've ever overcome. When you're in the thick of it and feel like quitting, you mentally reach into that cookie jar and pull out a memory of a past success. And this isn't just, empty positive thinking. It's about giving your brain cold, hard proof that you've been through hell before and you have what it takes to do it again. Okay, so once your mind is calloused and you've got these tools in your back pocket, Goggins says it's time to shift from defense to offense. This is all about taking that mental toughness and literally weaponizing it when things get competitive. First up, there's taking souls. This is all about performing with such savage intensity that it just breaks the will of your competition. Then there's being uncommon amongst uncommon. What that means is, once you finally make it into an elite group, guess what? Your work has just started. Now your job is to outwork everyone else in that elite group. And finally, and this is so important, he completely reframes failure. Every setback, it's just data. You write an after-action report, you analyze exactly what went wrong without getting emotional about it, and you use that failure as a tactical lesson to get better. Okay, but let's be real for a second. This incredibly extreme philosophy, it leads to a really critical question. Is the Goggins way a genuine path to inspiration, or is it just a recipe for injury and self-destruction? And this really is the Goggins paradox. I mean, his way involves pushing your body to the absolute brink of catastrophic failure. The man has run on fractured legs. He's suffered from kidney failure. So critics point out, and it's a fair point, that this promotes a really dangerous survivor bias. We see the one guy who made it, Goggins, but we don't see the countless others who might have tried to copy him and ended up with severe permanent injuries like rhabdomyolysis, which, by the way, is a horrifying condition where your muscles literally die and release toxins that can shut down your kidneys. And the criticism isn't just about the physical toll. It's also personal. As this person points out, Goggins really doesn't talk about his wife or child much in the book at all. So his relentless, all-consuming focus on himself, it raises a really uncomfortable question. Is this true discipline, or is it just a convenient excuse to sidestep his responsibilities to his family? Okay, so with all that on the table, the good and the bad, how do we pull it all together? Let's boil it all down to the core rule set that Goggins lays out as his path to mastering your own mind. So what does the full Goggins playbook look like? Well, it really boils down to these 10 core challenges. We've already hit on a bunch of them, right? Confronting your past with the accountability mirror, stepping into discomfort to callous your mind, and using that cookie jar to remember your wins. But there's more, like scheduling your time with military precision, visualizing the struggle before it happens so you're ready, and of course, treating every single failure as a lesson with those after-action reports. When you put them all together, it's a pretty comprehensive system for taking control of your mind. But look, and this is probably the most important thing to understand. The real takeaway here, the lesson isn't to literally go out and run on broken legs or ignore your family. That's the whole paradox we talked about. The true value is in the principles underneath it all. It's about applying the spirit of the accountability mirror to your career, right? Or using the cookie jar idea to power through a tough project at work. Or callousing your mind by finally having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. The goal is not to be David Goggins. It's to use his insane example as a tool to find that resilient, capable version of yourself, but within the context of your own life and your own responsibilities. So, I'll leave you with this question. After hearing all this, what is the first uncomfortable thing you're going to intentionally do? And look, it doesn't have to be an ultramarathon. What's one small step you can take to start callousing your own mind? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you got something out of this breakdown, do us a huge favor and hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into these kinds of transformative ideas.